Over the past year, we have covered the war daily. Pretty much every show we do is about the war. Of course, most of the focus is on Gaza and um, and on Israel's future and so on. But we talk certainly more than the mainstream media about what's happening in the north of Israel and the south of Lebanon. Hezbollah has been attacking Israel every day pretty much since October 7th. They saw an opportunity to help their brothers in arms in the war to exterminate the Jews, and they took it. And we've criticized Israel for not doing what needs to be done and taking out Hezbollah properly and making the people of Lebanon pay for what they're doing. But we should say Israel does from time to time, bomb some villages, kill some terrorists in the south of Lebanon, and so Hezbollah fighters, of course, we despise them, we condemn them, but they are taking risks. Like they know they're at risk. They've shown, you could say they've shown testicular fortitude in this battle, as Mick Foley would say. That's going to be a bit of a problem now. Yeah, today a bunch of pagers exploded in the pockets of Hezbollah terrorists. We have no confirmation on how that happened. It does seem like quite the coincidence, but look, 3,000 or so pagers can explode at the same time in one country. It's not unheard of. Actually, it is. But generally, Daniel, I often on shows I make Seinfeld references, I make Game of Thrones references, I make wrestling references. But I don't think I've mentioned that my favorite show of all time is 24. And what I love about 24 is it's interesting, it's well written, it's about people fighting terrorism. It's in real time, and not just is it in real time, but it is as realistic as any show gets. But there have been times in with the 24 where I thought, you know what, that's not real. Come on, that can't really happen. And I think if the news from today was actually a storyline in 24, that would be my reaction. Yeah, this is quite the operation. And yeah, from time to time, even during a time of war, we can enjoy ourselves on this show. Welcome to the Daily Objective. Daniel, your thoughts on the mass pager explosion in Lebanon today?
So someone in the chat is saying it, and I've seen it already on X. People are saying this was the cousin of helicopter. This was committed by Special Agent Motorola, and so we don't know how it happened. I Later I will talk about some speculations, but it's all speculations. But just sort of like what we know so far. So this basically started happening, I believe, few hours ago. Basically, pagers of Hezbollah operatives or militants started exploding. If we won't show any videos that are pretty gruesome, you can find them on X. But so just quickly, what we know, as Razi mentioned, it looks like thousands of casualties, and there are on X, there are a lot of videos, so you can find them. From what I understand, there's no report of civilian deaths yet. So it looks like Israel did manage to specifically target Hezbollah operatives only. There's also videos you can find. Basically, I've seen one video. It's like on the market. There's like, here is a Hezbollah operative, and there's someone standing right next to him. And the Hezbollah operative, in his pocket, the pager explodes. He goes on the ground, and people around are fine. Basically, nothing happened to them. So the fact that they managed to make it so precise is, again, incredible. And whenever something like this happens, I always like to check Jackson Hinkle's X page. For those who don't know, he's the best Moscow operative, the best operative Moscow has. And what he said is, praying for everyone in Lebanon who were just targeted by the satanic Zionists. I just like to remind him, terrorists were targeted. That's the people who were targeted. But I I I can assume they definitely appreciate it.
This is a
Um,
fun day. Why you gotta bring Jackson Hinkle into this? All right,
because it's
continue.
funny. Uh, and yeah, just quickly, one more thing I'd bring up is because some people might be asking, why are Hezbollah people using pagers? And the answer is, again, Israel. Basically, if you remember, we talked about Fuad Shakur some time ago. He was one of the people who was basically baited to go into his apartment where he was killed by phone. Basically, someone called him, and from even from what we knew earlier, it looks like IDF has managed, or probably Shin Bet, which is the intelligence agency, has managed to break into Hezbollah's telecommunications. So they started basically getting rid of the phones and started replacing them with pagers. And now we see that Israel has also basically got hold of the pagers. I'm wondering how far this go, because this could easily. I mean, okay, no, okay, we'll go today later, but it's incredible, and I have a few more things to say after that about how this could have been done. But
Yeah,
Razi.
and I should say, Spencer asked, no, there's no episode of the reality show, unfortunately, today, although that episode was canceled before we got the news. It would have been a fun episode as well, but maybe we can go a little bit longer with this. Thank you, Kathy. Yes, Kathy, for the super chat, and thank you, Gail, for the super chat. There's, there's in part, like the news is coming in. So please don't look at our show right now as some sort of news report. This is as much news as you will get from the BBC, although a bit more nicer to listen to if you don't support terrorism. And yeah, so the numbers, yeah, I see different numbers reported in the chat. The last that I saw was something like 3,000 people injured, 9 people dead, 200 critically wounded, and of course, the numbers will be adjusted. Look, if this was in Gaza, the death toll would already be in the hundreds of millions, as South Park says. So yeah, Lebanon is, a bit less uncivilized place than Gaza, and they do actually count rather than report. It's but yeah, we hear that the hospitals are filling up in Lebanon. This is not the extent of a response, a military response that we've been advocating for on this channel, but it certainly is fun to see. And it's really amazing. It's one of those moments. I was telling Daniel before the show. It in a sense it pisses me off that Israel can do such amazing things and yet doesn't fully fight. But it is it's one of those things that you see that you say, wow, uh, they've pulled off something super impressive. I remember my one of my favorite assassinations of a Palestinian terrorist ever was Yihya Ayash. I believe it was 1998, who was responsible for the suicide bombings in Israel. Who was sleeping in bed. His phone rang. He looks at it. It's his dad. He answers, "Dad, what's up?" And then the phone explodes. But that, somebody switched the phones there. Here. Here, this was a much more elaborate operation. According to some reports, Israel somehow sold these pagers, so maybe even made a profit on the way to. But I don't know if this is all stuff we're reading. Yeah, again, don't take this as news, but but yeah, in any case, this is yeah, I'm enjoying myself as we go. Thank you, Jeff, for the super chat. Thank you, Enric, for the super chat. Enric said, "I've read batteries are the probability with C4." Um, Amit, thank you for the super chat. Amit says, "The Mossad agent Joe Key did it. The prank Smurf." Yeah, I will go find the other names that are put in the chat. Daniel.
Yeah, I mean, for what you've mentioned, yeah, I've also seen a meme, the one Hezbollah operative who found a great deal on thousands of pagers is definitely not feeling okay right now. But just a little bit about how, and again, this is all speculations. We don't know. We don't know if Israel is behind it. Nothing's confirmed yet. Um, but from what I understand, at least it's very unlikely that this was like done purely remotely. Basically, there is a chance that if Israel got hold of the frequencies or similar things to that, they could accomplish things like overheating remotely or something like that. But for explosions and this many, and we don't know also if, for example, if some failed. We don't know. We haven't heard anything like that. So it looks so far like every single pager that basically was supposed to explode that did explode. We don't know of any sort of like failures yet. So it looks like Israel had to get hands on those pagers somehow. Uh, Either, as you said, sold directly, maybe through spies or operatives who caught them, or something like that. One thing I was also thinking about, since if they specifically knew, let's say if Israel had an information that Hezbollah has an information that Israel has an information about the fact that the telecommunications are handled. Maybe they've already prepared for this. Basically, they knew Hezbollah would get off phones and could prepare for the possibility of them getting pagers. There could be something like that. Um, Enric is saying in the chat, also in the super chat, he mentioned the batteries. That could be also it. So there could be many ways this could have been done. And I believe Hezbollah is also asking the questions because I don't know where they go from now. I think I've seen basically the next thing the Hezbollah is going to now is the cup with strings. Basically, you get the two cups, you attach strings to them, and they'll be using that for the communications. We'll see where they go from now. But if anything, it's really funny. And
Oh, it's hilarious. And yeah, look, this doesn't eliminate Hezbollah's abilities. Yeah, they still have they still have they weren't shooting pagers at Israel, but yeah, it's going to be very difficult for them to communicate. This is going to set them back, but the great victory in this is the fact that once again, like we talked about this with the Fuad Shukr assassination and Ismail Haniya, that basically said to terrorists, "You are not safe anywhere, and you're not safe anywhere if you're the leader of Hamas, and now you're clearly not safe anywhere if you're some random dude in Hezbollah with a pager." So yeah, there is a great victory in this, even if it's not the victory in the war, and I definitely hope we're gonna see a lot more of this. I also
Yeah,
hope we see a
and
lot.
just
Yeah.
quickly, because I think Stephanie mentioned it in the chat, but I saw reports of that also, that Iranian ambassador was also supposedly targeted too. So it's not just Hezbollah; it's also any allies that Hezbollah has. I wish. I'm really hoping we'll hear about some like Hamas commander or something still in Lebanon. Also getting targeted. But I might be getting my hopes up too much. But it's still a great victory, even if we don't get any Hamas. As funny as it would be, also.
Yeah. Um, Paul says in the chat, this takes some balls. Yes, you wanna keep your phone or your pager or whatever in your pocket here. I mean, that's still gonna be dangerous, but uh, maybe a bit less painful. Uh, uh, Eutychus says, Razi, the names of the Mossad agents responsible for the attack has been revealed. Their names are Yahud, Likud, Knesset, and Mobile. Thank you for that. Yes, keep the names coming, and we will read them as we go along. Thank you, Bonnie, for the super chat as well. Oh, I see we have more. Um, Thank you. Alhamdu Shawarma Al Falafel Ibn Tahini Jr. That sounds like a great name. Says, love the stream watching on my pager. Thank you, Stefan, for the super chat. Thank you, Loresetto. Loresetto says, a bad day for the pockets of resistance. I love it. I don't need to see, I don't need to write any jokes anymore. I just need to read them. Uh, Thank you, Tomil, for the super chat. Tomil says, found you a month ago, best Israel commentary. Thank you for the compliment. We appreciate it. We also agree with it. And thank you, Wes, for the super chat. Daniel.
Yeah. So again, this is really incredible. It's great to see. Again, as I said, if you want to see any of the videos, you can find them on X. But as I said, it is pretty gruesome. So because you can see the
Yeah, I recommend watching it. Look, bad things happening to bad people
it's
is
I
good.
I was about to say it's still funny. Like when I saw it, I laughed because again, you have to realize again, these are terrorists. The Hezbollah is a terrorist organization who also, most importantly, they also do control parts of the government. They do control large parts of the southern Lebanon. They are constantly launching attacks on Israel. They did it just this morning. Again, this happening again, and the fact that it's all simultaneous, at the same time, thousands, as far as we know, basically pockets started exploding. Again, it's something incredible. But again, what I'd like to see, I wish this was, and it's still happening. So we'll see what happens next. But I wish something else happened with this because again, originally we were supposed to talk about how Netanyahu is waiting for the American election to do something about Lebanon. This did happen, so again, it's great to see. But again, long term, this is not going to be as big, and I wish this was combined with something bigger because again, you have thousands of terrorists basically uh, get going out of commission. It might have been even more high ranking ones. Again, if this was combined with a bigger attack, I think we could see some real ground, especially against Hezbollah, who again are much stronger than Hamas and will take much more to basically get rid of.
Yeah, and as you mentioned, the topic we were going to talk about before this was the fact that Netanyahu was waiting and not doing anything in Lebanon because he's basically gambling with the lives of Israelis in the north on a Trump victory, which he thinks will then allow him to do more. But I have to say, this is the kind of thing that there's no way, even the US administration under Biden, what can they possibly say? Literally, you are pinpoint targeting. This is I guess the kind of warfare that people imagine
Yeah.
Israel should be doing in Gaza. Literally killing. I mean, I heard I did hear a report about a 10-year-old girl. Look, if some of these terrorists have kids, if they're hugging their child, the child, will suffer from it. But yeah, this is as targeted as you can get. Still, and I'm reading this
No,
from
but
just
again,
a recent report.
even then, I would say because you have to realize, like, there are videos of like people standing right next to them and not getting hurt. If there are reports of like someone else, again, that's the responsibility. If you are a terrorist and you let your kids like play with your pagers or something like that, again, you take the responsibility for that. The
Yeah,
fact that something like this happens shows that what these terrorists are actually doing. And
yeah, I mean that extends to if you're a terrorist hiding in a school surrounded by 1,000 people. But yeah, this is an easier sell for the just war theory people. There is a report from the or a statement from the Foreign Office in Lebanon. For people who think that Hamas is not the Palestinian people, might think Hezbollah is not Lebanon. The Foreign Office in Lebanon has said that I'm reading this in Hebrew, but basically they have began the process of filing a complaint to the UN Security Council about Israel's cyber attack. Again, like I don't think Israel confirmed that it is Israel. It could be a just a massive coincidence. We don't know.
Yeah,
We're
I
discussing.
also have a report here. Around 200 people reportedly hospitalized in critical condition, 9 dead. Hezbollah pins blame on Israel and vows retaliation. It's already sending out carrier pigeons about the next upcoming attack to Israel. So we're in any day now.
Um, Yeah, well, we should do these shows with more advance notice so we can write these jokes in advance. But yeah, luckily they're being written all over the place. But yeah, by the way, this is also one of those days where Twitter or X is a much more fun place than it usually is because you will see more of this stuff. Tomer says Agent Amit Potsetz did it. Look, if most of our viewers don't speak Hebrew, they don't get it. But it's gonna be our little joke, and I know some people do speak Hebrew here. Yeah, many of the names. I mean, helicopter in Iran really started a trend that I, for one, welcome. Also, Hezbollah has announced that Nasrallah was not injured in the attack. Yeah, Nasrallah, I imagine, is living in some bunker, not having any phones, or probably anybody who comes to talk to him has to be completely naked, just so to make sure they're not wearing anything that could explode. Yeah, he's not living his best life. Even if he is, I don't know if he's a billionaire like Hamas's leaders, but he has a it's not easy being him. And yeah, you know what? If Israel wants to do this, let's watch out for civilians. Let's target people. Come on, I think Nasrallah's time has come. Uh, so hopefully we'll see that soon. That will be a day where this show will start at whatever time we hear the news, and we'll be as disorganized as we are today, but will be just as fun.
Yeah, I mean, again, I'm also having the news open right now. I'm trying to see if we get any comments from Western leaders, because that would be interesting to hear from. Again, because I don't think you can say anything, but well, again, we don't know if Israel did this. So most likely, you won't have. Actually, let me, because you won't have. Actually, yeah, if you can, I just need
Yeah.
to search.
So it is interesting to me. Look, Arab countries, we know where they stand. Other dictators in the world, we're not expecting much from them. The U.S., again, I would be shocked if they issue any type of condemnation. They might say something like, "We don't want escalation," because it's already written. They just reread it every time something happens. But I am interested in seeing what Britain has to say, what some European countries have to say, especially the aggressively pro-Hamas countries like Norway, Ireland, Spain. What can such people say? And again, diplomats have a way of speaking words without saying anything, without really adding any content. But will there be, I look forward to hearing what these people have to say. I want to see if there's any condemnation, there's any support, because of course we think there should be support, but we also think a lot of things should be different from how the conflict is currently approached by Western countries and Israel's so-called allies. But yeah, I would love to hear some. I think some maybe Republican politicians will express support, but some leaders somewhere in some major Western country. Let's wait for that. I'm assuming tomorrow we'll probably have a follow-up episode on this. We haven't decided yet, but it seems like this is not going away as a news story.
Yeah, I mean, I might not expect Western leaders to specifically congratulate Israel on this, especially if Israel doesn't claim as they have done it. You won't really see sort of like, other people saying Israel did it, even if it wasn't positive. But something to remember, Hezbollah is a designated terrorist organization by the US, by the United Kingdom, by the Arab League also, by many European countries, and specifically the military wing is also Hezbollah's military wing is designated terrorist organization by the European Union. So again, from their perspective, this is thousands of terrorists getting either gravely injured, as I've said, hundreds are in really are in critical condition. We know of 8 deaths so far. Many thousands have been injured. Again, these are terrorists of a terrorist designated organization. Again, this is not just like an enemy of Israel or something like that. It's a designated terrorist organization. So again, it's imagine if like thousands of like ISIS members, in the past were suddenly started dying. I mean, you would see celebrations. You would hope to see even coming out of Western leaders basically saying, it's a maybe act of God, but it's a good act of God, and let's just leave it at that. It's good to see. Again, anything less, I think it would be a big resignation of what's going on, because again, once I mean, you've mentioned there might have been one civilian death. We might hear from more. So once those start coming out, we'll probably see a lot of retractions. And when that happens, you'll know nothing will ever be good enough. If Israel did this, Israel could specifically target thousands of Hezbollah terrorists and, let's say few civilians, let's just assume that we might see, might get injured or died. And if 1 to 300 is not a good ratio, then nothing will ever be good enough. And you'll know that this is not about proportionate reaction or sort of minimizing civilian casualties. It's about Israel shouldn't defend itself.
Yeah. Thank you, Tragedy and Comedy, for the super chat. Tragedy and Comedy says, Norwegian here. Apologies for our government. IDF thumbs up, Israel flag. If you want, on this day, I think Tragedy and Comedy, you can give the official response of Norway, and we will count it as official. On a day like this, like I said, I'd like to. I'm interested in seeing how the countries who are routinely, consistently anti-Israel spin what they probably think about this, but we'll see it when it comes. Who's the manufacturer? Do we know? Do we know if it's that's got to be bad PR for them? But is it all of the same make, or is it different types? I'm guessing they're not going to be condemned. But yeah, this is not, Kool-Aid, the brand did nothing wrong, but they're kind of associated now with something unfortunate. So I'm wondering if this is going to happen to whoever made those pagers. I couldn't find it in the news. I don't know if you saw any mention.
I'll try to look it up more, and I'll let people know. Something I'd like to say, because people are praising IDF, so I'd say it's important also to praise Shin Bet, which is the Israel's intelligence agency. It's important to remember, if Israel had any hands in it, Shin Bet probably had big parts of it. And I also seen this would have been lost otherwise. Jerusalem Post is also reporting that apparently Israel has thwarted Hezbollah plot to kill a former defense official. So this shows the difference of power, that basically while Israel simultaneously thwarted one specific attack against one Israeli official, and also managed to injure thousands of Hezbollah operatives. So again, you can really see in this case that how basically the good is powerful. Because remember, Israel, or specifically Tel Aviv, is basically like a second Silicon Valley. Israel is doing incredibly when it comes to technological advancements. So it's really great to see. I mean, sometimes whenever I look into like the military technology, it amazes me how things basically have developed and what powerful things we have. And you have to remember this can only come from the good nations, from the good people, because it requires reason to know what it is. And Hezbollah, Hamas, Iran, whoever, we've seen it with Russia, with Ukraine. These nations ultimately are powerless, and the only power they have comes from some sort of sanction of the good people. It's either the good nations not acting and basically not getting rid of these regimes as soon as they do one wrong thing. And I don't mean, bad regime goes into power, you immediately go take them over. No, specifically Iran came into power and took American hostages, and we did nothing about this. And since then, basically Iran had the sanction of the Western powers and basically could get away with this stuff. And you have to realize that if only we do this more, if only we show these dictatorships that they do not hold the power unless we give it to them, unless we surrender it to them, yeah, there's nothing they can do.
Usually we have a few trolls in the chat. Today, actually, viewership is live viewership is much higher than usual, but we just had our first troll comment. Yeah, people mentioned in the chat the trolls are not having a good day today. 3,000 of their best friends are not feeling so well, and yeah, have some serious pain issues. There was, oh yeah, so there are already reports in Israel about concern about a response from Hezbollah, which, I don't know what counts as a response from Hezbollah, because Hezbollah fires rockets, dozens of rockets every day on Israel. So there was a few weeks ago the incident where they were about to fire some more serious missiles, and that was preempted by Israel. But yeah, I don't know what it is that people think is coming. Again, this does hurt their ability to communicate with each other, so it could hurt their ability to respond or at least delay it, whatever response they have. But yeah, again, I hope Israel does act, beyond this, because it will be necessary. Hezbollah has not been defeated today, but they have been injured in a place where it really hurts.
Yeah, so I've tried looking up where these pagers could possibly
Ooh,
be.
I have to say, Stefan says, wonder how many trolls had a pager. That might be the reason why we're not hearing from him. Continue.
Well, I mean, on that note, you're kind of joking, but the fact is that Russia specifically has a huge network of bots, and bots doesn't specifically mean that it's actual like automated, it's actual people. So, then it might be people from Hezbollah. You don't know. But yeah, so about the pages specifically, I don't think we can really make it's all assumptions. We don't know. But these pages are recent things. So if this has happened, it could be the fact that Israel had basically made its way into the supply lines long before they even started giving out these pagers, which would make sense. So this could have been again, whenever something like this happens, you have to remember it's not like they started doing this yesterday. When Ismail Haniyeh was killed, that bomb was there from like months ago. Like it was there for a long time. So anything like
Do we
this,
know that for sure? Because we had like a dozen different reports on how
oh,
exactly he was killed, from a missile from outside the country to right next door. But yes, you are right, and that's part of the beauty of it. It's we're all curious about how this is done. But as curious as I am, I'm happy to not know ever if needed, because this will need to happen again, and similar things will need to happen again. And yeah, we hear about after Fuad Shukr was killed, that they're watching themselves with phones, so they might move to pagers. I don't know if Israel kind of foresaw that they're going to move to pagers. We hear that what's his name, Sinwar, after some of the assassinations of Hamas leaders is watching out a bit more than previously. So that's good. It's the great thing to look forward to is when all these terrorists are dead. But while they're still alive, let's hope they spend their final moments, days, weeks, months hiding like rats. And again, my apologies to the rats for the comparison. But yeah, hiding in tunnels, running scared, watching over themselves. Oh, I don't know if we talked about this, but during Ismail Hania's funeral, there was this moment when what's his name, the Ayatollah Khamenei was looking up, and look, we don't know what he was looking up at, but it was something that could be spun and was spun as this guy's looking to see if a drone is about to send him to meet the 72 virgins. And yes, let's put all these people in such a state while they're still alive of looking over their shoulder, looking up, looking down, making sure there's nothing in their pockets, and fearing the death that is coming to them.
Yeah, I mean, these dictators, they shouldn't see the light of day. They should be scared. They should be afraid. They should be hiding in in their bunkers, like one of their spiritual predecessor did, and hopefully end in hopefully the very similar way. Again, that's what they should be feared. They should be afraid of what of the response they'll get. I keep seeing these videos of like people like praising Putin, or the way he uh sort of like he goes, he like he acts. Basically, he always seems like a confident, like nothing will happen to me, and I'm doing good. I we need to see we need to see attacks on these dictators. I need to see them covering. I need to see them, in fear, like going down and going on their knees and like praying to their God that they will not die today, because that's what we need. They should be afraid. It Yeah,
Yeah, if anybody
and
can page Putin, will appreciate it.
yeah, I mean, there were think there was that was a long time ago, might even be like a year now, where there was like a drone in Moscow, and I think it was shot down, but there was some apparently it was Ukrainian drone in Moscow, and I'd love to see that. We like something like that. We need to see that again. These dictators, that's what they deserve. And by the way, I'm also seeing reports of Hezbollah starting fires to do the communication through the fire. You know how the Indians did it, even
You
you
know,
like
when you
say
start
fire
reading
signal.
something like, I already know a joke is coming when you say, I'm reading reports that. But yeah, keep reading those reports. This is one of those days. Thank you, Tragedy and Comedy. This is, by the way, one of those days when we're getting lots of super chat. So it's an extra special day, which of course we appreciate. Tragedy and Comedy says, by the way, I love watching Shin Bet videos, real men. Are there what Shin Bet videos? Daniel, are you familiar? Uh, well, I don't know if you can put a link. Actually, you can put a link in the comments and show us what you are referring to. And before, just let me,
Just
yeah.
one thing I want to say about that, because so we know basically these exploded. I wonder if there was a message that was like sent, and I wonder what that message said. And I hope we'll get our hands on the message if it actually was there, such a thing.
Yeah, or it might be revealed somehow, as yeah, when things happen, sometimes it's revealed later. By the way, we heard about this operation in Syria, was it last week when under heavy firepower, some Israeli commandos went in, grabbed some people, some Iranian officials, took them on a helicopter back to Israel. So yeah, there are a lot of impressive on the ground operations. Israel is again, unfortunately, it cares too much about civilians on the enemy's side, but within those limitations, it does absolutely amazing things that no other country can do. No other country holds itself to such a standard or is held to such a standard by other countries, but no other country operates, that well within those impossible boundaries. Tenebris says BBC will be honoring the Zionist pager victims of electricity apartheid by releasing limited edition pagers with Hamas green headband in solidarity with stupid people. Yeah, look, that license TV license fee has to be spent somehow. Thank you, Megan, for the super chat. Megan says they should have known something was wrong when all their pagers ringtones were whistles. Well, whistling is I think common in Arab culture, so yeah. But by the way, when this show is over, I really recommend once again. Yeah, I know it is gruesome. It is people having something explode in close vicinity to their testicles. But consider who these people are, and you might enjoy the videos as much as we did.
We have Gail in the chat asking, did the pages explode simultaneously? I think, and it's Hebrew name, so I don't know. But someone says almost simultaneously. Yeah, that seems to be the case, basically, because the reports started coming out pretty much at the same time that they started happening. So probably at most, I imagine it happened like seconds apart. So yeah, it's not like randomly like these things. That was someone definitely planned this to happen, and you had to do this thing at the same time to basically ensure that yeah, you get as many people as possible and because as soon as this
Yeah.
started happening, Hezbollah has pretty much
Yeah,
said to everyone they should get rid of them.
somebody would page the others and say, "Get rid of your pager." So
Or
yeah,
maybe that's what happened. One person, something happened, and he started like sending, "Hey, get rid of your pager."
yeah, it's well, not quickly enough. Um, Lisa says, question is, how come the ambassador of Lebanon got a terrorist pager? You mean the Iranian ambassador to Lebanon? That's a great question. I don't know what the connection is between the Iranian ambassador and Hezbollah. Maybe, again, we don't know who did this, so it could be the manufacturer and it could just be a popular brand of pager in Lebanon. That's the most likely connection. Certainly, if you follow mainstream media, I think that's the conclusion you would have to come to. I don't know what else it could have been.
I mean, that's not really surprising. Hezbollah has structure itself on the regime of Iran, so these are incredibly connected. Basically, yeah, they function very similarly. So it's not out of ordinary to see the fact that Iranian again, this is Iranian ambassador to Lebanon that had this pager. But we've made a few episodes about how Lebanon is Hezbollah, and again, this is not Iranian ambassador to Hezbollah. It's an Iranian ambassador to Lebanon.
Yeah, which again, I've already said this on this show and we've said this on other shows, but yeah, when people tell you to separate, Lebanon from Hezbollah, or just like they tell you to separate Hamas from the Palestinian people, listen not to those in the West who are telling you that and then telling you why Israel is the bad guy. Listen to the people themselves. Listen to the Palestinians when they say that they are with Hamas, or at least with Hamas's goals, even those who have fought against Hamas. Fatah and Hamas have been at war, but they both agreed that Jews should be exterminated. They've been at war for other things. And yeah, the same thing in Lebanon. Look, I read the sort of read half translated the announcement by the Lebanese foreign minister, not the Hezbollah foreign minister. It's Lebanon going to the UN demanding probably some sort of condemnation, which probably there will be a vote on, and probably most members of the UN Security Council will vote to condemn Israel over this, and probably the US will veto it. And certainly Britain will abstain because we are the abstainers. But yeah, again, look, the Middle East is united. Israel is the exception. When it comes to Israel, the Middle East is united against Israel, and those who are not involved in terrorism support it.
Yeah, I mean, there's not honestly much else to say. This is great to see. I hope we'll hear more from this. I'm really looking forward to what Hezbollah will come up with next to for their communication, because you have to remember communication is a big part of the of warfare. If you and especially modern warfare is very dependent on quick communication, the fact that you can quickly organize yourself with many different groups. Israel being able to target the communication so well, and basically, first they got them to get rid of their phones. Now they will force them to get rid of the uh their pagers. They might replace the pages, but I'm not sure if they'll be too keen on, maybe they'll start manufacturing their own. But again, even that, anything like that can be targeted. I think we don't know, but it's very likely that Israel has operatives in Lebanon, is somewhat embedded in the infrastructure. So again, if anything, again, that would be even worse if like Hezbollah has a physical location that again they will start like to produce something like that.
Yeah.
Again, that can be targeted, that can be easily done with. So again, this is incredible to see. I hope we'll see more. And again, I hope Israel will never say that this. I don't think they owe anything to these terrorists to basically say, yeah, we are behind this. No, Allah.
And Israel does have operatives everywhere, and that's the thing. They have operatives within Hezbollah. Hezbollah has people who they think are terrorists who might be. By the way, you can be if you've gotten to a point where you can be an informant in a terrorist organization, there's a good chance you're also a terrorist, but have for whatever reason are giving information to the other side. So yeah, Israel is everywhere. Look, Nasrallah knew this long before. He's been living in a bunker for many, many years. Yeah, he knows this, and they will continue to hide, and it will not always be successful. I know we're filibustering because we don't have the reality show today. We're having fun, and we don't want to end the episode in the chat. People are having fun, and I'm enjoying reading it. I do want to read Purple Pulp. His comment says, "I really hope they wouldn't cancel Candace. I want to see her reach full Kanye mode." So the reality show that was scheduled for today was going to be about Candace. I don't know if we're gonna do that one. We might do something about whatever she says today. We might do, I think the reality show tomorrow, we'll do a live production meeting right now just to filibuster. And yeah, let's say, Daniel, let's look at the the major players, the people who we know always give us good material, and we'll find one of those, and that'll be tomorrow's reality show, talking about how they respond to this. I think that's gonna be a fun episode. Yeah, look, it's a war. There's breaking news. Hopefully, this will still be the main news story tomorrow. This and maybe a bit more by Israel. In which case, yeah, we can do something about that. We can have fun 2 days in a row, even in a war. I think that's yeah, I can get approval from the higher ups.
Yeah, so I don't see anything from Candace yet, which is not really that surprising. Um, but yeah, it should be a lot of fun because again, this really blows in the face of the people who have been supporting these terrorist regimes, who have been opposing Israel again for not anything bad Israel has done, but for the fact that they are trying to defend their citizens. They are trying to at least give some response to this. Again, this specific attack I don't think in the history of mankind, or even from now on for a long time, you'll see as targeted, as like discriminate, meaning like only targeting militants, attack like this. And I think you'll really see, if you haven't seen it now, haven't seen it before, you'll really see the nature of these people now if they criticize this. Because again, you couldn't get more discriminant than this. And if that really was the standard, then this should be applauded. Even if you're the most, you should only target militants, and you should really be careful when it comes to, collateral damage of civilians. This is as good as you can get in reality, not it's some sort of like platonic form of like only being able to somehow, shooting bullets that only kill militants that they volitionally choose to do a specific thing and were not pushed in any way or something like that. Again, if you resign on this, if you uh, don't celebrate this, you are evil. There's nothing else to say.
Yeah. Thank you, Larry, for the super chat. Larry says, only Allah is capable of sending such a coordinated mass message on pagers. Yeah, that's a thing. This I don't know if this is going to be a result, but it should be a result of this. Maybe the people in the hospital, asking the doctor to please see if they can, reattach their testicles somehow. Maybe those people will consider if there is a God who loves them even more when they kill Jews, would they do this to them? Um, I don't know. I don't know if this will make Lebanon an atheist country, but let's hope so. By the way, we're not signing off yet, but I do want to say in a couple of hours, the Cutting Edge is returning with Lee Pearson and Harry Binswanger. I don't think they're going to change the topic to this, although I'm sure they share our happiness over it. It is on its own channel, not on this channel. So past episodes are here. New episodes will be on the new channel. Link in the description and in the chat. Yeah, there's a link there. You can go preemptively like it, subscribe to that channel, and yeah. Oh, another troll in the chat. Nice. I think I'm just seeing PLO flags. I haven't read it yet, but I'll read it to myself, Daniel, while you continue.
Yeah, so I'm currently just going through X trying to see if there's anything new on this topic. Someone already shared. Apparently, pager has been invented by a person of Jewish heritage, apparently an immigrant of I think Jewish and some other Romanian Jewish immigrants into
As
America.
Candace keeps telling us, we just don't listen.
So this was
They are behind it.
obviously, if Candice was here, she would say this was a real long plan. Obviously, Jews have invented pagers just so they could kill innocent Hezbollah militants. Um, Again, it sort of it all fits nicely. It's there are things that happen in real life when you're like, I this sounds like fiction. This sounds too good to be true. But with so many things happening, many things are just good. And again, this comes again as like a great sign that yeah, life can be good, and Israel can defend itself and can do incredible things, and that's why that's why you know, oftentimes you have the sort of idea of like rough parenting or sort of like or tough love. And the idea is that we like Israel. We like the nation of Israel currently that it is. It's a mostly free nation that has a respect for individual rights. And because of that, it is one of the biggest, basically, information technology centers of the world. And because of that, they can do things like this. And because of that, we are oftentimes tough on Israel because we know it can do better, and it shows us it can do, and we would like to see more.
Yeah, and it's tough love, but it's not as tough as love will be for those 3,000 terrorists, for the rest of whatever life they may have. Susie has a fantastic reply to a troll that I'm not going to read because it would involve acknowledging the troll's name, but I wanted to praise this comment, Susie. Well done. Um, Daniel, do we have any more jokes at the expense of these people, or should we sign off in a show that is nearly an hour long? So there was no episode of the reality show today, but we went, just as long as some TRS episodes on the Daily Objective.
So there is something I really like about the idea that it looks like this will be a very specific injury. Basically, for most people, it is in one of their pockets, or they will have some sort of like if they survive this, they will have some sort of scarring, some sort of injury on specific places on their body, and I think this is something great to see. Basically, sort of like scarring for life. Like they'll look at what has happened, and they will always be reminded of why it has happened. Again, this is not, this is not some sort of celestial punishment. This is not uh, some sort of unfortunate thing. It's a specific thing done for a specific reason. This has been done to them because they are part of a terrorist organization. And for the rest of their life, they will be reminded of that. And I think that's something that's always good to see done to evil people.
Yeah. By the way, ARCUK members, YouTube members, hopefully you saw Alejandro and I do a show Sunday about Game of Thrones, which went longer than planned as well, like this show, and we'll have a follow-up. But yeah, Hezbollah will kind of, for those of you who watch Game of Thrones, basically they will be kind of kind of like the Unsullied, that kind of army from now on. Daniel, you have no idea what I'm talking about, but people who watch Game of Thrones may have found that funny. All right. Is that it?
I was trying to look up more simple communication styles, but a lot of them were like beating drums, and it was kind of hard to implement it that people would understand. So I still think carrier pigeons are the best bet for Hezbollah next.
Yeah, and whatever they use, they will know that they should be living in fear that Israel is watching
Oh,
and
right. Just
can
quickly,
reach
someone
them.
in the chat says drumming is haram. So yeah, I believe music is like prohibited in Islam. So I guess the anything rhythmic is also not kosher. Well, I guess not kosher, but whatever the uh uh what's the Islam equivalent? It's not
By the way, Gail says, Razi, South Park
halal.
may be sending you a contract to consider. That's a very nice compliment. I don't think I'm at that level, but maybe the time has come to find more South Park clips to play because there is the one that we always play when we talk about the media. But yeah, South Park gets a lot of this stuff right. They're those people that you kind of wish were more rational and maybe even objectivist, and they would do some. But they're already doing fantastic stuff. Anyway, the wrap up of this show is about half the show. But yeah, we will be back tomorrow. We will almost certainly be talking about this on the Daily Objective and on the reality show. And for now, I encourage people, of course, to go watch the rest of our content, but also go on X and watch some of those videos of terrorists thinking they're safe, thinking it's just a pager in their pocket, and finding out. Thanks, Daniel. Thanks, everybody, for watching. We'll see you tomorrow.